Hi everyone, today I just want to make a video about why I quit alcohol. I've discussed it kind of briefly in other videos and parts of other videos about why, and I also released a video about not waiting until you reach rock bottom. Instead, just quit now because you don't want to hit that rock bottom moment. But I just wanted to go through kind of my journey a bit and a bit of lessons learned from the first 3 months, the first 6 months and so on. But the the first time I ever quit was in 2017, and I lasted about 5 years. I ended up thinking I could moderate. Unfortunately, we all know how that happens, what happens after you decide that. And it started off all right, a couple of beers here and there, and I thought I was doing really well. But before you know it, you start going out, a full Saturday night, and that soon turns into the Friday, Saturday, and maybe an odd beer on the Sunday. I would never normally drink on I would never get drunk on a school night though, because I would just never be able to function the next day. But I think I was your kind of quintessential British binge drinker who's, out on the Friday, Saturday. I would still do, to be honest. I would do dry Januaries quite a lot, and I did a 5, 6 weeks here and there, and I did Stoptober. But there would be kind of maybe months, a good few months that would pass where I'd be out every Friday, Saturday. And it would just be like the same as everyone else. I would plan to have a kind of quiet evening, and then Friday at 5 o'clock you get a message from your friend that just says pub question mark, or mine tonight question mark, or meet for football, or meet for the Six Nations tomorrow question mark. And I would just crumble straight away, and I'd be thinking just the usual, I've been working all week, it's been a tough week or whatever, or I've got a lot of stuff done, I deserve a beer. And you just kind of kid yourself on that way. But for me, just kind of quitting, in 2017 I woke up with an absolutely monumental hangover. It was just a culmination of a weekend away. I'd moved back to Edinburgh on the Friday. On the Saturday, I had friends coming back from their holiday. I hadn't seen in a while, so they were just, oh, great to see you again. So I went out there then. And then on Sunday, I got a text from a friend who owned a pub that was local to me, and he was actually giving up the keys to his pub that day, so he asked me around, to just kind of one final session. And I don't even think it was a late one on the Sunday, to be honest. I was quite tired, but I woke up on the Monday just feeling absolutely horrible, heartburn, indigestion, kind of felt like low sugar levels, just one of those typical, a good solid 10 out of 10 hangover this one was. I don't actually remember having that much anxiety, to be honest, but I just remember being a really bad hangover, and I think it was 2 weeks until I started a new job, and I didn't want to spend my 2 weeks just kind of, having pints during the week with mates because a few friends were off. And it was just something totally flipped 180 in my brain that day. And I just thought, I can't be bothered anymore. And I lasted kind of 5 years doing that. But then I think there was in the background loads of other kind of areas. I'd kind of started my master's degree and didn't finish it. I'd started a few courses and hadn't finished it. Gym wise and fitness wise, I was never a kind of gym rat or anything, but I like to kind of just keep generally fit. But I would do 3, 4 months maybe, and then go on a holiday with my mates, and then you end up just coming back and you can't be bothered. And I just didn't think I was really achieving much. And you kind of just spend, by that time I would have been 33, so you're out at the weekend or even out on the Saturday night, and you're still you're not struggling at work, but you're kind of tired in work on the Monday, Tuesday. And it wasn't really until Wednesday you kind of start feeling proper again, and you have to play catch up. And even the Sundays, I was fed up of ruining them, just kind of sleeping half the day, and then you're not really getting much done. And I knew a few people who'd went alcohol free, and they ended up just, I'd see their pictures on Instagram, they're out climbing hills and doing this and that, and I was kind of really jealous. It was just wild. But it just completely changed my life from kind of like the first week. I think the mentality shift was the first thing I noticed, where I was starting to think a year ahead, 5 years ahead. I remember just thinking when I start this new job, I'm just going to up my pension contributions and put money into my savings account, because I wouldn't be spending extra money on that. And I was planning courses as well. I made a plan for the next year. I wanted to do 3 certifications at work, which I work in project management, and I hadn't done really any certification for a while actually, and I was kind of just behind on all that stuff, and I put together this solid plan of saving and also kind of getting myself up to speed, and I would pay for these certificates. If my work wasn't paying for them, I was grateful they did actually pay for a few and give me time off, but I paid for some myself just to get myself right up to that top level when I was applying for jobs, for example. I remember joining the gym quite quickly as well, putting together a plan, started walking 10, 50, I think it was 10,000 steps a day in the beginning, then I went up to 15,000 steps, and I just set myself a rule that I would get no more takeaways. So everything I cooked, I would cook at home, and there was a supermarket just round the corner, so there was absolutely no excuse. Downloaded loads of recipes, soup recipes, etc., and just made it my mission to kind of live, especially the first year, not buy anything ridiculous, try and save a decent amount of money, invest it as well, and just trying to become kind of healthy-ish. And as I mentioned before, I was never a kind of gym rat, never kind of go in there to break any records, but I would just go and do some weights for maybe 35, 40 minutes, just a good session, and maybe a bit of running or something, or on the bike, and that was it. And it was just absolutely amazing. And those first few months were just, I say, trying to find yourself, I guess, trying to adjust to this new life, something that I've spoke about in other videos, where it's just, your brain's everywhere, you're still in that old habit, and you're just trying to find kind of this new you, and you've got all this time on your hands as well. That's a bit of a struggle in the beginning, because you don't really know what to do with all this time, but that took a while. And if you fast forward to say maybe a year, 2 years after, or even 3 years after I quit, it was like a completely different life I was leading. I was fit. I was walking about 25,000 steps a day. I'd done around, I think it was 4 courses that were kind of really sought after courses. And as a result of that, I got a massive promotion at work, big pay rise, massive opportunity, and it really helped me tee myself up for later life, because I still have those certifications. I've renewed a few of them as well. So when I'm applying for jobs, I can, just with the experience I've gained now, again, I wouldn't have probably done I wouldn't even done 90% of what I did work-wise, traveling a lot, working with big clients around the world, always smashing it because I was up early, I was on top of everything, I was, leading teams because I was just so reliable, and it was just, that set me up for life now. I go in for job interviews, I send out my CV, and I've got all these certifications, I've got all these, like all the bells and whistles when it comes to degree and everything, the job titles, the experience, the customers I've worked with. It's just absolutely nuts. And I do think it's funny, because even you'd think that after the first few weeks or months, that's you get all your gains, but the gains keep coming. If you're managing to put away $500 a month, or $1,000 a month, or pounds or euros, just think about how much money you've got when you're investing it. I started teaching myself kind of how buying and selling shares works, just watching Warren Buffett YouTube videos and putting money away. And so you got to this stage, 3-4 years down the line, where you've built up a portfolio of shares. I've got all the certification a project manager would ever need. I've got a brilliant CV. You're in that position where you're thinking, well, even if the company went bust now, I could walk into a job tomorrow with all the contacts I'd built up, just with, your confidence and your background you have now. And by that time, you've paid off car loans. If you had any credit cards, they would be all gone. And, it was just an absolute kind of wild journey. And I just wish people could, who were drinking at the moment, could just maybe take a pill and just experience what you actually experience after a week, after a few years, because it's just, your life's completely done a 180 for the better. And it's funny, because a lot of the comments I see now, it seems the vast majority of people there are in that first few months. And I think that's just where, I'd love to see the data on it, but I bet you that's where loads of the folk relapse. just in that period where, you know, like I say, the brain's rewiring and it's a bit chaotic, and you're still in that habitual behavior, and you've still got the same group of friends probably, you know, peer pressuring you and everything. It's just absolutely wild. But just, you know, finally, I just want to say it's just becoming a like non-drinker and being known as that, you know, the reliable person, the person who gets stuff done, is just like you can't even put a price on it. Just like smashing it all the time, you know, on top of all your banking, on top of all your bills, just fit and energetic, and people rely on you. Your friendships get better than ever, and you know, there's never DIY around the house that hasn't been done. You just get it sorted straight away. Your laundry's always done, and you know, the sleeps are brilliant, and there's no brain fog, and you'll get promoted at work because you never take a sick day. You're always logged in at 8 a.m. sharp. You're always there if somebody phones you. There's no how you just pick up the phone straight away, deal with it, boom, you know, you're a hero at work. It's just absolutely wild. But you know, I'd hopefully enjoyed this video. I just quite like, I do a lot of kind of benefits videos, and I think they're really good. When I was on my journey, when I first started, I didn't really watch YouTube videos until kind of probably, you know, a good 5-6 weeks in, and I just used to love hearing people's stories, and I still do. I love people comment and tell me that they're X amount of days off, and there's, you know, they've done this and they've done that, or they've just started a new hobby, or they're spending more time than ever with their kids, and it's just really, really good to hear. But please subscribe to the channel if you like this video, and also like and comment if you want. Helps with the algorithm and all that. And yeah, I'll catch you up next time. See you later on.